minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
They ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went. Let us fool for a minute, but we walk now. They getting hot under the collar, cause the true tie. Try to take Genesis and cover it under the rock, but you can't hide what the master already knows about. This population is programmed, spoon-fed news for food. They wanna go to Mars, but they ain't never touched the moon. The proof is in the pudding, I don't need to see no rocks. For the judgment of your character, you like to punch your locks. Your body language suspect, like you wanna get out of here. Cause the truth is, y'all ain't never left up out of here. We firm in this firmament.
A lot of people would like to think that astronauts fit into one particular mold, but that's not really the case.
We're a little tiny grain of sand in a vast universe, and we got to the next grain of sand, the moon.
Good morning. It's T minus 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 53 seconds, and counting.
This is astronaut Edwin Aldrin, lunar module pilot for the Apollo 11 moon landing mission.
I was born in Montclair, New Jersey.
When President Kennedy had in mind the best and the brightest in America, it's folks like Buzz Aldrin that he went out and tapped.
I grew up in an aviation family. My father was quite a pioneer.
Man has shaken the dust from his feet, and today, when he travels, he demands to go in a swift, straight line, by air.
I loved the feeling of breaking free from gravity. I loved going as fast as a human being could go.
Timing is everything.
2 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
He's a hero you've all read about in the history books. Schools in Virginia and Illinois bear his name. His name is Buzz Aldrin.
I'm Lieutenant Aldrin. I just got down off my 56th mission. I'm stationed here at a advanced base in Korea.
And it's just minutes to the historic launch of the Apollo 11 with
All of us who happened to come along at just that right time, with just the right credentials.
Mr. Aldrin is a graduate of West Point. He flew 66 combat missions in Korea.
I do, however, remember my 37th mission rather vividly. That was the mission I got my first MiG destroyed.
T minus 1 minute, 35 seconds.
Timing again. I knew how to intercept airplanes in the air, but what we didn't know in 1960 was how to rendezvous in space.
But it was a big leap from Korea to outer space. Aldrin, following in his father's footsteps, decided to get a doctorate at MIT, but his was in aeronautics.
We needed to rendezvous with friendly spacecraft in space, so that's what I wrote my thesis on.
T minus 60 seconds and counting.
My dreams in the sky became even higher. I was selected by NASA to be in the third group of astronauts.
Dr. Aldrin has always been an explorer. He has ventured off-world twice.
And he not only set a record for spacewalking, but he devised techniques used on the NASA missions, and he holds a patent for permanent space station in space.
Space station mission control, do you read now?
40 seconds away from liftoff.
The last man to enter the rocket that morning was a 39-year-old Korean War veteran and graduate of West Point. Colonel Edwin E. Buzz Aldrin was about to begin the most important voyage of his life.
I could see the sun coming up, the waves coming in from this height, and look out and see the evidence of millions of people. And I knew that occasionally they were looking at me, but they didn't know that I was looking back at them too. And it was a moment of brief solitude that I said to myself, I just don't want to ever forget this moment where I can just contemplate how wonderful my life has been to get me to this point.
Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Would each of you give us your estimate of what is the meaning of this to all of us?
You want to try that?
After you.
You sometimes seem uncomfortable with your celebrity, that you'd rather not have all of this attention.
No, I just don't deserve it. No, I just don't deserve it.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Are you afraid for the truth to come out?
Many of us and many other people in many places have speculated on the meaning of this first landing on another body in space. Would each of you give us your estimate of what is the meaning of this to all of us?
You want to try that?
After you.
Well, everybody looking at me?
Appreciate it very much if you would remain seated so the crew could leave. They want to be at the luncheon at 1 o'clock, just slightly ahead of you. Thank you very much.
Never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went.
The thought occurred to me that, do I really want to be on the first one? And I came to the conclusion that I really didn't, because I could anticipate a little bit at that time all the commitments and responsibilities that would go along with being on that first flight. And I was a little apprehensive about all the public appearances and so forth. And I felt, gee, if I want to do it, fine. The second flight is going to do the same thing, maybe a little more. Why not go on that one instead of the first? At the time, you feel very much, or I did feel very much on stage.
At the time, you feel very much, or I did feel very much on stage.
240,000 miles away, it doesn't seem like on stage, but when you know that millions of people are watching on television, listening to your voice, you're, in a word, apprehensive of not doing something wrong or not fulfilling what's expected of you.
Can you remember if you were disappointed when the decision was taken, what, a month or so before you actually went to the moon?
Oh, yeah, certainly disappointed. But I think that my life would have been a little more hectic had I been the first. Who knows, I might even decided to become a college professor the way Neil did.
You'd do it all again?
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be trying moments if I did it again. But having gone through it once, I'd be a much smarter person.
And yet, Buzz, it almost destroyed you.
Right. But I think I'm a better man for having experienced.
Never went, nah, they ain't never went. Never went, nah, they ain't never went. Never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went. Never went, nah, they ain't never went. Never went, nah, they ain't never went. Never went, nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went.
Right now, Fox is looking at the documentary.
Foxes.
Right. Let me just go ahead and check your audio.
I mean, do you have Neil Armstrong interviewed already?
No, he doesn't want to be interviewed.
Well, I know.
Why does he not give interviews?
Well, because that's his personal choice. And I guess it's mine, in a way, to do things when they've been researched and worked out as far as a business arrangement. This is not news. This is not an anniversary.
Well, actually it is. We found a very unique reel of footage that we have queued up to show you.
Yeah.
And it's from the mission. And to our knowledge, no one has ever seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 30 years old.
And you want me to see this while you have me on camera?
Well, and to tell us what it is. I mean, it's...
Well, I don't know why I should do that.
It's a very unique
well,
footage.
it may be that I need to see it, and then we sit down and we talk about what you're taking a picture of. I don't see where there's an advantage in it for me to do what you're asking me to do. I see all sorts of pitfalls. I see people who have managed to talk to somebody. Who did you talk to in our office?
I talked with Heather at Tor Books.
Yeah, but is this helping book promotion? Are you going to be putting anything out during the time that I'm marketing books? See, Heather does not represent me for the things you're talking about. She represents a book selling activity.
I think when you see the footage, you'll see that it's very extraordinary, one of a kind, behind the scenes type of footage.
Yeah. Well, if it is, why do you have access to something that no one else has seen before?
Serendipity, I guess. And it was recorded on the 18th
of what?
Of July. 1969.
Apollo 11, Houston, Goldstone says that the TV looks great, over.
Do you remember this?
On the 18th?
Sure. Okay, that's
Again, the illusion they are attempting to create is the Earth at a distance, to demonstrate their far journey from it, and their ability to survive passing through the Van Allen radiation belt. Understand, too, that only about 20 seconds of this raw footage was ever broadcast to the public, and these conversations discussing their deception
What is your
were believed to be
proposition
confidential.
that we didn't go to the moon?
I know for a fact that you did.
Here they discuss that these
I know for
television
a fact that you did
transmissions
not.
were in fact
You know
not
for a fact that we did
broadcast
not.
live, as
That's
everyone
correct, and
believes.
you'll see this tape
They were
proves
first
that.
Okay, well,
screened and
I'm not
edited
interested
for playback later.
in satisfying your suppositions when there's all this evidence that we did.
This proves, as you see, that you were using the window to demonstrate that you were halfway to the moon when you were
Turn the
doing an
camera off,
illusion with the
please.
window.
Sunlight from entering
Turn the camera off.
through the other window. If the window was
And this makes
completely
you
filled up with a TV camera, as
real
you say,
famous person
then
that
an
has
astronaut
discovered
would
this
not
and
be able to get the
reveals
TV
all
camera
this
out the
stuff.
window, as it
What an
obviously
ego you
does
must
here in
have
this
to want to
outfit.
propel yourself like this.
That's not why I'm doing it, and God knows that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the truth to come out because I think it was wrong.
You can also notice how the astronaut
But you're doing it the wrong way. You don't mislead somebody like me to come in here.
If you didn't go to the moon, that's misleading people. I'm showing you this
Okay,
tape.
we went to the moon. We're not misleading anybody.
Then how is it possible
This
that
is a
this is
segment
the
that
window?
indeed wasn't
It's
even
shot
being recorded.
to make it
Much
look
less
like.
Look,
this
you
is
can
far away.
manufacture all you want with
This
these
is
things.
straight. This isn't manufactured.
Sure.
You know that it isn't.
Never went, nah, they ain't never went, never went, nah, they ain't never went, never went, nah, they ain't never, put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never, put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went.
Howdy, Buzz.
Who's that?
How's it going? Remember me?
What's your name?
Bart Sibrel.
Would you give your name to my assistant?
Yeah, I got one for you, one for your lawyer to sue me.
That's right.
I hope you do. I'd love to go to court and show them a window shot.
I know you'd like to get a lot of attention, wouldn't you?
Well, you're the one getting money for something you didn't do. You're getting a lecture for walking on the moon when you didn't. Well, that's called being a thief.
Why don't you just
That's called being a thief. Do you think you can get to heaven without repenting? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
Turn this off. Turn it off.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything.
Tell him to get out of here?
This is a hotel.
We'll call
Right,
the police.
we pay.
Come on in here, we'll call the police.
Solicit on
You like
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir, I don't have nothing to do with this, but
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there. So
You can't solicit like this on this property.
keep shooting.
All right, well, then I'd go through my measures.
Yeah.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay, well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Just come with me, Buzz.
You really like attention, don't you?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying
Will
I
you
misrepresented
get
myself.
away from me?
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never, put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never went, nah, they ain't never, put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and
never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth. Y'all ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth. Y'all ain't never went.
WikiLeaks has released more classified documents than the rest of the world's media combined.
Picking up the wound. Energetic information engaged. Light them all up.
You want to be in pictures.
That's the best. Let's say it's another one to print. I think that's awfully good. That one and the one before it was pretty good.
Do we have about 15 seconds?
Oh yeah, you got a lot of time.
Yeah.
I claim this land in the name of...
What do you got now?
Now move. Because we didn't go there and...
Ready? And action. Cut it, Jim. There you go.
Quit that.
Print
4.
He needs to still talk this mark.
Once more, please.
Otherwise, he, train. Let me walk it. When you tell me I don't want back in the middle of it.
Here's what we really need is for him to go to his left and then kind of veer back. Is that right?
Because we didn't go there and... Because we didn't go there and...
Exactly right, and it has to be, we have to be high enough so that we've got you against blue sky and not against earth as you're coming in. You're coming in a descending approach as you get in.
Over. We can rehearse it. Said, go back and we'll rehearse it and see how it looks.
Okay.
Because we didn't go there and... Because we didn't go there and...
Ready and turn.
Use a second marker there.
Love you, and
This is a hell of a time not to.
That's right.
We're in a little deep now,
right.
Let me tell you.
We're rolling.
Stand by, here we go.
Marker?
Yeah.
Right now, Jim, that was better.
Forget it. Wait a minute.
The third deep. Okay.
Because we didn't go there and...
The third deep. Okay. Cut the third.
Tail sight coming up right now. Right now, Jim, that was better.
Rehearsal, guys. All right, this is just rehearsal. Ready and action.
They ain't never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth. Y'all ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never went. Never went. Nah, they ain't never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth. Y'all ain't never.
What about the moon? We all witness the moon only illuminating the local clouds around it. That is because it is also a local light, but one with opposite effects from the sun. As we can all agree, shade from the sun is cooler than direct sunlight. But did you know the moon's shade is actually warmer than direct moonlight? The moon produces cold light, something the science priests must have forgotten to teach us all about in school. Not only that, but at times we can see stars through the moon, proving it is not some solid rock 238,900 miles away. In the 60s, true science regarding the moon was the shadow band topic of its era.
I must consider myself to be an ordinary, humble person who wants to serve mankind with what man has striven for from the beginning of consciousness, with truth and understanding of the world.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma, cosmic plasma. Gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved. This fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it.
And the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen.
People actually believe they walked on the moon, talked with Nixon, played golf, drove a car, and planted a flag.
If you really believe that Neil Armstrong took the first step, then why do you give any credit to the cameraman already there waiting for him?
These guys were all U.S. military men coerced into acting. They wanted the money and power that came with the deal, of course. The problem was, they were terrible actors. They couldn't even pretend to be excited, knowing they were lying to the world. But the show had to go on. Michael Collins and Neil Armstrong rarely spoke in public about it, but there was one man not shy about lying to your face. The spokesperson for the Apollo deception.
It's my pleasure to present Colonel Edwin Aldrin.
No handshake, hug, smile. Their facial expressions are similar to those experiencing constipation, not celebrating an accomplishment.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great sense of pride as an American and with humility as a human being that I say to you today what no men have been privileged to say before. We walked on the moon.
I mean, they couldn't pay them enough to look up and smile? Society has always debated these planned Apollo events since day one, never imagining then that almost 50 years later, they haven't had the balls to fake another.
They never went, nah, they never went, nah, they never went, nah, they never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went, nah, they never went, nah, they never went, nah, they never. Put your hand on that Bible to the truth, y'all ain't never went.
I don't want to be presumptuous here. I can call you Buzz. Okay.
That's a legal name. Passport, driver's license.
And I am Uncle Coney tonight. Well, let's talk about this, because this is fascinating. I remember very clearly, I think anybody who was alive at the time does, I remember my parents waking me up and we went down and we watched you guys land on the moon.
No,
which
you didn't.
was
No, you didn't.
What?
Because there wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
There wasn't any television. There wasn't anybody taking a picture. You watched animation.
See, you associated what you saw with...
I have very hazy memories.
I know.
Well, no, what we saw was we all were gathered around the old curve-top radio and listened.
Talking about, how many feet we were going to the left and right, and then I said, contact light, engine stop.
It was
and
exciting.
A few other things, and then Neil said, Houston, Tranquility Base, the Eagle has landed. Man, how about that?
That was very exciting.
Not a bad line.
Yeah. This was
not a bad line.
Yeah. Take a second to honestly observe the following picture and tell me what this looks like to you. If you said a bunch of cardboard, construction paper, curtain rods, gold tape, and foil, you would be correct. If instead you said the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's highest technological achievement, incapable of being reproduced today, the Apollo 11 lunar lander, then you would also be correct. Most unbiased viewers would assume your average high school art class could construct this contraption without much struggle. But official NASA spokesman and astronaut Don Pettit assures us that actually, this 1969 technology is so advanced that even with their multi-billion-dollar yearly budget, they cannot for the life of them recreate it now.
I go back to the moon in a nanosecond, Don informs us. But NASA destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Firstly, why on earth would NASA destroy the original Apollo lunar landers? The historic first crafts that landed men on the moon? The supposed most incredible achievements of mankind, and they irreparably destroyed them so that they could not be replicated even after 50 years? Could it be because they didn't want future generations able to visit museums and see these laughable 1960s attempts at high-tech looking space vehicles? And what other 1960s technology is so advanced and expensive that it cannot be recreated easily and far better now than way back then? Let's take a closer look at this 1960s spaceship and see what else we can notice. For example, look at the paneling here, on the side of the craft. If someone sheetrocked your house looking like this, you would be entitled to a full refund. Yet, with supposedly the best engineers and scientists in the world on the job, this is the kind of craftsmanship NASA provides? Look at the flimsy, haphazard, and careless construction materials and methods used. Look at the buckling, warping, and indentations showing how thin the paneling is. What is this thing? A Twinkie? No, I'm sure it's some super important and necessary high-tech device. Here there are press stubs, and here also has press stubs. But here, and here, they must have run out, so they used gold foil instead. And then over here, they must have run out of gold foil because they didn't bother with either. Look over here, at the evenly spaced lines of gold foil going down the legs, until you get to this point, where there is 3 lines right close together. It must be important because it's the connection point to the other crossbars, right? Let's look at another leg. Oh, no. On this one, they are all evenly spaced the whole way down. No 3 lines near the crossbar. Apollo 11 mission controller Harold Lodin was quoted saying, "The skin on the crew cabin was very thin, and that was all done because of weight saving. If you really took your finger and poked hard at it, you could poke right through the outer skin of the spacecraft. It was about the thickness of 2 layers of aluminum foil." Project manager Thomas Kelly concurred, noting that the skin, the aluminum alloy skin of the crew compartment, was about 12 1/1000ths of an inch thick, equivalent to about 3 layers of Reynolds wrap that you would use in the kitchen. Apollo astronaut Jim Lovell said, "Whenever I saw a model of the lunar module, it had these rigid sides and looked really strong. Turns out that external portions of the lunar module are actually made up of mylar and cellophane, and it's put together with Scotch tape and staples. We had to have pads on the floor, because if you dropped a screwdriver, it would go through the floor." Apollo astronaut Gus Grissom even famously hung a lemon on the lunar lander just weeks before the mission started. The dictionary describes lemon being a word used to describe things, especially automobiles, regarded as unsatisfactory, disappointing, or feeble. The lunar lander was never even once tested on Earth, landing here from any altitude before supposedly going and successfully landing on the moon. There, this pathetic cardboard and tinfoil construction allegedly fell from lunar orbit at 4,000 miles per hour, then used retrothrusters to slow it down and safely landed without a hitch on the lunar surface. When the astronauts did practice in other training vehicles, 3 out of 5 of them crashed, and you can see here how difficult they were to control, even in broad daylight, on Earth, in optimal conditions. The idea that the actual lunar lander was never once tested on Earth, but then made a perfect landing on the moon, is one small step for lying Freemasons, and one giant leap for brainwashed mankind. This is a 7,500-pound thruster. Look how powerful this is, how big, how much dust it kicks up, and the light it creates. The lunar lander's thruster was even bigger, at 10,000 pounds, and somehow didn't kick up any dust, left no blast crater under the craft, and not a grain of sand on the landing pads, as if it was gently placed down by a crane in a studio. Here we see the lunar lander redocking with the command module. This is clearly fake and made with props, models, and footage similar to the Hollywood creations of the day, such as Stanley Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, created in 1968, the year before the first supposed moon landing. Look at the jerky, unrealistic motions and lack of thrusters being used. The craft is just being turned like a Rubik's Cube somehow, all of this supposedly happening as they both orbit the moon at 4,000 miles per hour. Since many people can't believe this is genuine footage, let me assure you, this is actual, official NASA footage of the Apollo 11 redocking.